Hey everyone, it's Ginger, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make your own lockpicking set. This is going to be the first part of a three-part series. I'm down here. And the idea is going to be a three-part series on how to make your set and learn to pick locks, because there are some times in your life where you need to get past a locked door. Now, I'm not trying to teach you to do anything illegal. You should only pick your own locks, but say you get locked out of your house. I think it's a useful skill, and I'm starting to learn it and get better at it, and I think it will be cool for you to learn too. So the first part of this series, we're going to need to make 3 tools, and in part 2 I'll explain exactly what these tools do. But for right now, just follow my step-by-step instructions, and this is just an easy way to make your own homemade set. All you need are 3 paper clips and a pair of pliers. You should have both. They shouldn't be too hard to find, so let's get started. First, we're going to make our tension wrench. It's pretty simple. Basically, the way we're going to want to do most of these is to totally undo the lockpick. Make it just, a straight line. Unbend it completely. Try to make it as straight as possible. Maybe even use the pliers. Make it a little more straight. I'm not going to be too much of a perfectionist for the sake of time, but you should get as close as you can to a straight line with the paper clip. You can see that. Next, just take your pliers and put it as close as you can to the halfway point, right about there, and then bend one end over to the other end, and then take your pliers out. Now you want to scrunch the 2 ends together with your pliers as best as you possibly can. Don't try too hard, don't put a ton of time into it. You want the tension wrench to have a little bit of width, but generally you want to squish them pretty close together. Actually, what I have here is pretty good. Alright. Then, about a centimeter away from the end, grab it with the tension wrench. Grab the tension wrench with the pliers and just bend it at a 90-degree angle. There we go. And then you should get something like this. And that's pretty much what you want. If you want, you can cut the ends off to make sure that they don't stick out or whatever. I'd cut it right here. And what I'd recommend doing as well is wrapping some tape around the handle. Wrapping some tape around the handle right where my hand is. And so that way it doesn't, stick out like it's doing now. And you can get a better grip on the tension wrench, which is important. This part is the part that's this little thing is going to be going into the lock. So you want to make sure that's good. And you want to have a decent grip on the handle. It's not important as with the lock picks, but I'd still recommend wrapping some tape around it. So that's your tension wrench. Next up comes the normal lock pick. A little bit tricky, but not too much. Let's just, again, bend it out into a totally straight line, just like we did with the tension wrench. Alright. Then, what you want to do is take... This one you actually want to make sure it's especially straight, because lockpicks are kind of finicky, and if the paperclip isn't very strong, it's going to get bent around a lot in the lock. You want to make sure you have the strongest paperclip possible, the strongest one you can find. Anyway, take it about the 1/3 point this time, probably right about here with the pliers, as you can see, and bend it over like we did with the tension wrench. And that's going to create your handle. It'll have a little more depth than usual, so that should be pretty much good. Now what you want to do, obviously right now I'll tighten it like I did with the tension wrench, tighten the handle. It doesn't have to be as important, but actually the tension wrench I was tightening the end. This is just the handle of the lockpick, so you can see it's just paperclip bent over on itself. So half of it is bent over on itself and the other half is just sticking straight out. It's a little bit harder to... There we go. That should be the easiest way to see. So, what you want to do here, you only need there to be probably about an inch, less than an inch, of pick sticking out. So, let's see. You can see where the handle ends right there. Right, this thing sticking up at the top. So at this general distance, I'm probably going to cut the lockpick right here with the pliers. My pliers have a little scissor attachment, or not scissor, but weak little cutter. So now the pick should look like this. You just want the distance to be just about right. So now the handle makes up a little more than half of the pick, most of the majority of the pick probably. And next what you want to do, the size of the pick should be pretty small so it can fit into your keyhole. So you really only want it to have a slight incline at the very end. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick a wee little bit of the paper clip inside, just a bit, not even very much. And then grab the paper clip with my hand and turn, oop, I didn't put it in far enough. Probably right about here. Maybe a little less. Okay, you know what, I'll put it in more. That should do it. It may have been a little bit too much, but make sure you can turn it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it shouldn't be total 90-degree angle. Pull it back a little bit. And this is going to be your lock pick. The end right here is what's going to be going into the lock. See, there's a slight incline so you can push up the pins. And that's that. The rake is kind of a pushy one, since you're going to kind of have to improvise a bit when you make the rake. The lockpick, it's basically the same thing as the lockpick, only the end is made differently than just sticking it up. The rake is made a little bit oddly. So for the raking pick, you want to just undo the lockpick and do the exact same thing we did with the normal lockpick. Just undo it so it's flat, and then, it's always a little bit. All right, then take the 1/3 point, probably right about here, and just bend it over. Just like this. And then we'll grab the end of the handle with the pliers, tighten it a little bit. This one's being a little bit tricky, just because it's sloped oddly. There we go. Now you should have a nice handle, and again, wrapping tape around it is a good idea. I'm not going to do that in this one, but I'd recommend that you do it. It gives you a little bit better grip on the handle than just two little pieces of metal. This is the hardest part. You want it to kind of, you want to make an S shape. You want it to kind of bend like a snake. So take one side and bend it so it's upward. You just kind of, sort of want a series of ramps, I guess is the easiest way to describe it. And you want them to be at different heights. You can kind of improvise it on your own. Hopefully my final product will be something nice and showable. But also make sure it's very straight. You don't want it twisting at all in the lock. It should be as straight as possible. Okay. This isn't a very good one. Uno momente. Basically what I did wrong is you want the tip of the rake to be facing down, and I made mine facing up. That is the slight problem we ran into. So I'm just going to take it further back and make a couple more bends, and it should be alright. Like I said before, making the bends is the trickiest part. It's very difficult, but here we go. The thing about the rake is it has to be pretty much perfect. So I'm trying to make mine as perfectionist as possible so you can kind of model yours after it. This is pretty good. This is what I ended up with, and I'm just going to take my scissor cutting of my pliers and just kind of chop off the end there. There we go. Should probably chop off a little more than that. Bingo. This is what the end of a rake should look like. Pretty much just two squiggles, one a little bit higher than the other. You can't really see in this angle, but one is higher than the other one. See? Yeah, there you go. And that is our little unprofessional lockpicking set. So with these three tools, you should be ready to pick any basic lock, of course, that you own. This is the tension wrench, cutting the handle off, like I said you could do earlier. Basically, hard locks with security pins, I wouldn't go trying to pick your front door because it probably has security pins, and those are more for advanced lock pickers. If you do want to get more into it, you can learn exactly what security pins are and how to pick them. Maybe I'll do a video on it later, but you should definitely have practice with easier locks before you get to those. So for now, if you locked yourself out of your, your master lock, locked bike chain or something, you can have the means to pick that lock. I'm personally getting a nice lock-picking set that fits in your wallet, so when the need arises, I can get into anything. And these are the tools I will use to do so, and now you can have them too. So make sure to wrap the handles, it'll look less ugly, and it'll be an easier grip. Again, thank you for watching, and be excited for part 2.